Hi everyone, welcome to the Awaken Alive podcast. I'm your host, Emily Ruth, and today's journey we're going to be talking about trust, and what better way to talk about that than with my friend and first guest, Stephanie Myers.
Thank you for having me.
So, what is your experience with trust?
That's a great question. I was thinking about while we were getting ready for this, what I was interested in bringing up. And I think the thing that I want to yell loudest, first, I'm so sorry. I'm seeing this rainbow. Do you see it over there? Beautiful rainbow just distracted me for a moment. Too gorgeous. I felt like, I was thinking about it this morning. What is important? What would I share to others about trust? Because part of our friendship really has been learning to trust ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I look at, so I'm in my early 30s, and I look at what I used to build trust, like what built confidence and trust in my systems. And as a young adult, I first went into relationships and then jobs where that's what I tried to do, is I used those things to build a foundation for me. And if I've learned anything, especially over the last, 4 years, I really feel like trust, if there was one message, it is to build trust within yourself, because nothing else is going to give you that security, that faith, that confidence, other than having it in yourself. So like as a kid, as a young adult, I dated people, and I dated one person for a very long time, right? And their emotional health, what they were doing in their life, that's how I reflected on mine. And I trusted their situations to determine what was going to come up for me. And then when that ended, it was work, right? So it was like these kinds of things are what, like how much I'm valued in my job, how much I'm rocking it, like how am I kicking ass today or not? Those kinds of things built confidence, and that's what I had my trust and my faith in, my foundation. But then those things fell, and they needed to fall, right? Mm-hmm. So that I could build a real foundation in myself. And I think if there's anything I could share with anybody, that's what it would be, is trust comes from first having faith and creating the foundation in yourself. Yeah.
Okay. So like with trust, like for me, something that's coming up right now is like, how do you trust yourself?
How?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you get to that point of like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna do it like I'm doing with this podcast?
Yeah, right. No, so it goes back to, I'm glad you asked that, because this is something, again, that I've been learning the last few years.
But you will still be learning.
Yeah.
Your whole life, by the way.
Yeah, that's the hard, honestly. If I could say for any lesson we're ever learning, it's not stopped, ever. You make progress, and then you just keep learning that lesson even deeper, mm-hmm. right? It's practice, just like anything else. So I was thinking about that this morning where, okay, like let's say I'm going to go out and meet a bunch of new friends, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm nervous about it, but I'm also several things. One, well, I've survived everything else in my life, right? Mm-hmm. So whatever I'm dealing with, meeting new friends, having a presentation, or having some hard stuff in life, if I've survived it, I'm going to survive this. I'm going to. So I have faith and trust, and I've always made it through. I'm always going to make it through. But the other thing is allowing yourself to trust yourself. Like, when you get a gut reaction to something, it doesn't mean that it's right, but it's listening to your body, or listening to whatever it is that works for you. I feel like all of us should listen to our bodies, but some people have, like you hear something, and that's easier for you to trust and have faith in. For me, it's if I have some kind of feeling, an unnerving, whatever it is, it doesn't mean that I'm in a bad situation. It just means my body's like, oh girl, pay attention to this. What is it? Think this one through. And the more that I have listened to that, the easier it is to trust, because it's almost like validating your own feelings, right? Mm-hmm. I think it goes like to anything else. It sounds super lame to say, but it's practice. Mm-hmm. And the more you do it, it's like a muscle. And at the end of the day, like you, whether you realize or not, you will realize no one knows you like you do, right? So there's trust in that. Like that's a true statement. And I think truth and trust, like there's a relationship there.
Like a big connection.
Yeah. I won't even say the words are related to each other. Think about it.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it goes along with the line of like you being able to trust that who you are is what you're bringing, and if you're bringing who you are, you're bringing your truth.
Right.
But you also have to trust yourself.
Right.
What you're here. So like my thing is with the ego. Like
yeah.
you hear the ego.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And like you might think that's like trusting that, but it's like your ego is there to help protect you in a sense, but it also can hinder you. So how do you go about maneuvering your ego?
Oh, I'm learning this one hardcore. Hardcore. So I've been studying astrology for 4 years now, and I'm still gaining confidence in practicing. Like I know this. I know I've been learning. I know I'm not an expert, but I definitely know astrology well enough to be doing readings. But I still struggle to give advice or do feel confident in what I'm telling people. Because part of it is ego. And you know, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but what's something interesting to think about is like how I deal with at least the balance of, oh, I'm feeling confident and I'm enjoying this and I'm proud that I'm able to do this. That feeling, right? Versus the one of, is this the truth that I'm sharing? Is this what I want people to hear? And that's like my ego kind of coming in too, is like, or are you doing this for you? And that one, that's been an interesting battle, at least internally for me.
Would you say ego is like coming in when you're like doubting everything?
It is, or you know, when mine really seems to pop in, or maybe it's not ego. This is like what's questioning me. When other people have confidence in me and I feel like I've had something, like I've set a high bar, I'm like, oh, what if I don't meet that bar?
That pressure.
Yeah, that pressure. And I'm like, these people are supporting me. They're like very grateful for this. They're telling me how wonderful this was for me. Then I'm like, well, should I do another reading for them? Because what if it doesn't hit the, I don't know if, or you know, like even if you have a repeat customer, right? That one's been the weirdest one for me, is I have a repeat customer, which means they really appreciated my services. And here I am like, oh, I don't know if I can do as well as last time. Right. You know? So that's back to that's definitely a lesson in trust that I'm learning is, well, dude, either it's going to work or it's not, you know? And at the end of the day, the worst case scenario is I listen to what my thoughts, what I'm hearing, whatever it is, I go with it, and I learn. If it wasn't the answer that was accurate or whatever, I learned through the process, you know. I think, you know, I was thinking about this too, because we're not religious, but how people have faith in something that they can't, you know, you can't see and feel it. And, you know, we've been able to trust things that we can't see or feel, right? But you do wonder, like, there is something about where it's your choice. You cannot have faith. You cannot trust in things. That's fine too. But is it really harmful to have that faith in yourself? Is it harmful? What is the harm?
I don't know. That's a good question. Harm.
Yeah.
I guess like maybe disappointment, fear.
Yeah.
I feel like
failure.
Yeah. Probably failure would probably be a big one for me, I think. Like that would be protecting, I guess, my ego protecting me, or like what others may think. Although as I'm getting older, like I don't think that I care as much now. But I mean, except for like close friends and things. But it is of like, what if I can't perform?
Yeah.
I need to do it.
Yeah.
Like, because mediumship, for those of you who don't know, I do mediumship. When I do mediumship, it's not that I'm putting on a show, but it's like I'm doing, but I'm like, wonder if I just can't do it. Like, wonder if I just can't connect. Like that fear of like, oh, they're gonna think I'm a fraud.
Yeah, I think that's valid.
Like, I think that's what goes through my head sometimes when I'm having a hard time connecting. But then again, if you're not trusting, you're just usually when I'm just doing it and I'm trusting, it just goes easily. But if I'm like in my head about it, then that's when all that junk gets in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. What you just brought up too made me think, maybe we'll talk through how this would make sense, but vulnerability and like something about being vulnerable helps create the ability to trust. I think all of us deal with having to be vulnerable or like exploring that. I'm sure at any age, but just the last few years for me, talking about romantic feelings has been difficult, like ridiculous, or talking about failures or certain things I don't mind talking about, but then you want to talk about financial failures or dating failures or job failures. It's like we do like self-deprecating humor, that's true, but when you're being open about something that stung, and something about being vulnerable and how that helps to build trust in yourself. I think voicing it too. But what you just said, that's what made me think is we're putting ourselves out there. You're putting yourself out there. And you know what? There are going to be days where you don't connect, and that's not good or bad. It's what it is.
It just is what it is. It's all about listening. When it comes to, I don't know, this question is popping in my head. Synchronicities. How does that come into play with trust?
That's been a big thing. I have a few friends who it's been popping up, and I love that people are sharing this. Like you and I talk about this stuff all the time, but I have other friends who this is newer for them, or it's not new, but they're just now willing to open up, be vulnerable. I think several things. I think synchronous, and I mean, this is a personal opinion, but from also all the books that I've read, so what I've gathered. And I feel like when you see, let's do the numbers. Everyone sees that. We saw 111 when we were starting this, right?
The pairs.
Right. So those are, I think no matter what, you're in tune. That to me is always, I don't think that's a doubt for me. I trust that when I see that stuff, I am paying attention and I am in tune with whatever is going around me. I think, so I had a friend the other day ask like, well, I'm seeing this sign. Here, it's a good example. She's in a very happy relationship. She had some things pop up that related to an ex-boyfriend, and she's not interested in that, anything like that. But like something popped up, and I can't remember exactly what it was. Like there were just enough symbols that kept referring back to where this guy lives. We'll call it Chicago. It's not, but we're going to call it Chicago. Because I also love Chicago. So there's just all these symbols, and she was like, does this mean, like, is he okay? Do I need to reach out to him? I don't want to reach out to him, and I would never do anything to my current partner, but I'm just getting these messages. And she's engaged. And I thought, it could be something's wrong. That's never been my experience. Like anytime I've had the feeling where someone pops up, it might be that I need to check in with them. It's usually not it though. It's usually they may be reaching out to me because that's just what works for me. But also there's something from that time that I'm still healing. And maybe as these messages are coming up, like let's go to her ex-boyfriend, her confidence was based around him. And maybe as she's going through this engagement, this about to get married to an awesome person who she loves and adores and who loves and adores her, there are pieces she's still forgiving herself for. And that's a thought. So it doesn't mean it's X, Y, and Z. Like you see this and it means this. Maybe for some people. That's just not my opinion. But I think maybe it's a time to revisit a topic that you're learning, moving past some kind of pain there. Or it's just, or I do think sometimes it's people reaching out. I don't want to give anybody false hope. I really don't think your ex is going to reach out to you or that. But they pop up not because you need to be in contact, but like there's some part of that time or some part of that experience that needs some attention. And if it's healing, if it's revisiting, maybe it was an old hobby that you all of a sudden see popping up again. You see signs for painting and you're like, what? I haven't painted in 3 years. I need to paint, So back to synchronicities. I think it's all about awareness. It brings about an awareness, and it's, there is some message, but if you're not figuring it out, you don't need to dive too deep. You don't need to go too big into your head because where's that? I mean, is that really going to get us anywhere? Have you and I ever gotten farther from like overthinking? Because I haven't. I've gone into anxiety, you know.
I just drive myself insane.
Yeah, or like not loving myself the way I deserve.
Like, should I have said this one thing, or should I, like, the overthinkers are always prepared for the worst outcome.
Yeah.
Which only comes in handy in a rare blue moon.
Yeah. Right.
But most of the time it never goes the way you think it's gonna go anyway.
Right.
So,
well, you know what you just made me think about is like when you and I met, and think about trust too. Like I knew right away you were somebody that I was, you know, going to be connected with. Didn't know how.
Same. Okay, backstory.
Yeah.
Me and Stephanie here, we went to this what was it called? A workshop, I guess. That Will and Allison Brown were having at our local apothecary shop. She came in late-ish. She was holding her coffee. I was like, this girl late and got a coffee. And I was like, okay. She seemed like very smiley. I was like, whatever. You know, but I sat further away from the door, but I was like right in the door. But I was like, So, and then, so we were doing a bunch of exercises. We did stuff. It was like a psychic development shop. So she gave us like these folders, vanilla folder. Well, no, what are those?
Manila. Yeah,
manila folders. Yeah, them things. And then he put like pictures in there, and so we had to like psychically tell like what we got from those, and pretty much all of us got something from them. But we also picked up on other people's stuff, which was very interesting.
It was such a cool class.
Yeah. Then we did where we turned around and tried to guess who the person was, but told stuff about them, which was interesting. And I haven't even came in contact her with yet because they were kind of picking our partners for us. But the very last thing, I just saw something float up there.
We're always gonna see these things.
Yeah. That bring me, but the last thing I just knew, I was like, I want you, and it was for mediumship reading. I was like, I want her, I want you, and I literally just came out and I was like, I want you, and she was like, oh, okay. So we went into the back, near the bathrooms of all places, and we sat in 2 chairs, and I think you read did you read for me first, or did I read for you?
I don't remember. I know I was not confident in this at all because I had never practiced.
I think I let you read first because I was like, I don't know what her. I was like, let me just let her read. And she read for me, and I called it. We had to say like.
You made me feel very safe too, by the way. You really did.
I wanted to see what she was capable of. I wanted to see if she could connect to somebody too. But I called in like my stepdad, and he came through. But she was like hearing stuff, and she was like actually with ease. So I thought she used to do this like all the time. But she was like, no, I don't consider myself me. I'm like, really? This is interesting. So she picked up on that. And by the way, he did have some type of shoes in that Thunderbird. If you remember that. Yeah. But anyway, so it was my turn, and I told her how I worked. She's like, do you do this for professionally? I was like, no, like I'm doing what I was doing back then. And then so I read for her, and she was like, wow. But I was like, and from then on there we just became friends.
Yes. But there really was an innate trust, and kind of makes me think about how some things are building, right? It is about building. I was making,
it's fine.
We're good. It's building trust and like creating it. And I think that has to do a lot with self. With certain people though, there is an innate, like I knew I could trust you. I also knew, this also goes with trust. Sorry, you're authentic. And there is something back to true and authentic. There's something about that it's like when you know something is real and honest, you trust it.
Like the more you're living to your true authentic self, the more trust that it comes. I guess.
Exactly. And you really did help me build a lot of trust in these things because like you said, whenever we had the readings, first off, the energy was super high in that place. So I think like it just made it even easier for any of us to connect. And I'd always had faith in the supernatural. I don't even know what you want to call it. Like everything that would not be taught in your normal public school.
Not this realm.
Not this realm. Sure. Whatever you want to call it. because we could talk about that forever. But you helped me to feel like, oh, so what I heard, I can trust. Yeah.
Yeah, and for anybody there that wants to like do stuff like this, I believe everybody has the ability to connect to at least your ancestors. Maybe not on the extent that I do or Stephanie does, but everybody has the ability. You just gotta sit there and connect with them in some way and just be like, hey, Aunt Tree or something like that, and be like, can you give me a sign to let me know you're there, or I hope you're loved and listening, and I hope you're with me. Like, just give me a sign. And most of the time they will. It might not be like right then and there, because it might take them a little bit longer depending on how far they've been gone, but usually they come through. And then when you see that, you just gotta be like trusting, like, that's what I heard.
Well, what you just said is patience too. That's a hard one, I think, for humans.
Some people have more patience than others.
But what you just said is like, sometimes things come through immediately. Other times it does take time, and you get the message when the message is needed or when it's time. And because actually after that, I don't think I tried to. I'm still gaining confidence, and I don't know that I've even told many of my friends that I know I told my close friends that I was able to connect with your loved ones, but I didn't feel confident in sharing that with others because it was brand new. But you're absolutely right. That taught me. My interest is mostly in astrology and tarot and just connecting in general. I don't know where I want to go with it all. I'm open to a lot, but I just haven't.
The aliens or ETs.
You know how I feel. That would be a dream come true. And it will come true one day. Eventually. One day. I'll open that up one day. But anyone can do that. And that course was so wonderful to learn that from. Like to have that experience. Just like you said, certain people, I do think there are people who come out like they're born with their skills just loud and clear. And then there are people who they do connect just on a different level, just like any sport, any kind of skill anyone can have. We can all do it. Practice is important. It's a hard one. And some you're like, it's a natural skill for others, but anybody can do it. And it just takes a willingness for ourselves to try to put ourselves out there. And then to trust in what we hear or see or feel.
Yeah, especially if you have like numbers that you're like really fond of.
Yeah. You ask for, like, I used to ask for that. I would say,
I've never asked actually.
Okay.
For numbers.
Okay.
Like I'll be like, oh, I just really, for some reason, I was always about like the 11 for the longest time. That was like my angel number. Just to me, also take this as like a grain of salt, but just because we believe this one number means this doesn't mean that could be true for you.
Right.
Like you might want to, I mean, if it like resonates, like, oh yeah, I believe that, sure, but if it doesn't, then just slide it off. Like it might mean something totally different. Just like the number 7 for me, some people are like, oh, that's a lucky number. I personally just believe I just like that number. I don't believe it's necessarily lucky. I just feel like my guides and my higher self is like, yeah, you're on the right track. But pairs are interesting. Like I was telling you earlier about.
Well, for you in particular.
Yeah, pairs like 11 or 2 and 2 or 3 and 3 or just seeing just a 24 and a 24 somewhere, like in just one setting, like that to me lets me know like, oh, I'm getting closer to that one particular goal that I've been talking about with you, which I won't go into detail. But I don't know, it's just like with the new moon thing, it had the pair, the 22 and the 7 and 17. So all about trusting what you believe in. So
and the thing, I said it earlier, but you just made me think about it again. There really is, you've made it through everything at this point, right? Heartbreaks, failures, all of that. You'll continue to make it through. And that to me is like a foundation for myself and how I trusted myself. I feel like that with everything though. It's let's say you have a situation, like you said, the reading, and it doesn't work out. There's a lesson, there's something that comes from that was meant to come from that. And to have faith that is part of the process. It's all part of the
In
process.
the moment, it doesn't feel like it.
Not at all. And it does sting and it can suck.
I think you have to look at it from a higher perspective, but that's like so hard to do when you're in the moment.
Yes. Yeah.
Like looking back at it, you're like, oh yeah, I know why I meant to learn that, so I don't be a dum later on.
Yeah.
But the universe is funny.
So funny. Oh my God, so funny. I don't know. I just had so many different memories pop up in my head of just how life has worked out and how funny it has been. Something I don't know that we have like much to, I don't have anything to add on this, but it just came up in my head is something that's been a big topic in, I don't want to say pop culture, but like, in society, in relationships is gaslighting. And you think about how trust and gaslighting, like, I wonder too, so many of us have had struggle to trust. Like that's a human thing, right? But you look at gaslighting as a newish topic still, and how
it's always been there, but it's
always been there. Now we're aware of it, or like society is aware. Yeah,
it's a label.
There's a label for it, right?
So people are like, "Oh, that's gaslighting."
Right.
Although at one point I was like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Sometimes I still don't, because I'm like, what?
The best example I would give, and I guess I'm gonna always use. I do have a lot of relationship examples. Like that's just what it's gonna be. No, if that's it's something good about me or not, but I don't give a shit. But think about like if you've ever been in a partnership or even a friendship where, say, okay, I'm dating somebody and they say they want to spend time with me. Right? They say they love me or not love me. They like me. They want to hang out with me. They enjoy me, blah, blah, blah. But they're so busy. And then I just kind of catch it feeling sneaky. Something's not right. Something's like they're never available, or they their actions are not matching their words. So they want to see me, but they don't. And then they give gaslighting would be like, no, that's in your head. Well, like if they're actually doing something wrong. So say they're married, say they're seeing other people, but they're like, no, you're being silly. You don't need to worry about that.
You're the one going crazy.
Yeah, you're the one going crazy. So they're creating a new story so that you believe it, but it's a lie. They're lying to you. That wasn't the best example, but I hope that gets to the point.
Sometimes I always get confused.
And so then you think, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so silly. I'm being an overzealous person or not trusting these people when reality, like, no, their actions are not matching their words, and they're creating some they're turning this a story back on you so that you believe their lie. Yeah. Which is not a very kind thing to do.
Narcissism at its finest.
Yeah, it's a very unkind thing to do. But truth and trust, man, I think trust requires truth. And I really do think, I mean, I kind of want to look up after this that there's like a linguistic relationship. Like, just saying. Maybe not, but it does sound right.
No, it might be. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you could look it up now if you want to.
Yeah. I should. And one other thing that comes to my mind too, I feel like I've probably thrown this at you a lot where I'm like, as I've gotten, so I'm 32, right? I feel like real trust I did not have that until 28 and 29. That was just my life journey, right? My life. But it goes back to I built trust into other things. So when you build your foundation and your trust into other things outside of yourself, eventually, I mean, hopefully, I do think it happens for all of us. Hopefully, all of us. It comes back to, well, what do you know? And all you really know is you. You have you. You have your body and your soul. That's it. And something about your late 20s, early 30s, it's like, first off, it feels like the weight's off your shoulders. Like, okay, I can't fix the world, but I can take deep breaths and I can take care of myself and have an active part in how better things. But something about hitting a stage of maturity for me really made it so much easier to have trust in myself.
I'm glad you have
Yeah.
There's people your age that haven't matured at all.
No, and it's I guess you know what? It's opportunity for much, being able to.
I could see that. I
and
mean,
how you grow from
choose,
experience.
'cause there's still some baby children out, baby adults, I should say.
Yeah.
Especially working where I'm working now. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, no, I think trust for me, because I'm in my late 20s, I guess. Yeah. I'm late 20s now, 27. I think trust has come a lot easier in me knowing when I'm feeling the way I'm feeling for me. Like, I just feel it in my heart, really, and more in, like, my sacral way. There's just, like, a fuzzy feeling that I get. It's just like, okay, that's good. And then, but when I was younger, when I was, like, in high school and stuff, I was just all over the place. I felt like I was a little chameleon, but I was doing what I was, like, I don't know, maybe it's just I was, like, picking off everybody's energy. Yeah. And, like, not really being me.
Absolutely, I get that.
Sense. And I was like,
yeah.
And maybe eventually I probably should have trusted myself a little bit more in some situations where I knew things were off back in those days. Yeah. But I mean, I guess it's all a lesson. Like,
now.
I know, but I always felt like I was always ahead of my peers in a sense, like, because some people would like certain things. I'm like, that's stupid. Like, that doesn't even matter. Yeah. But then they would always be like fighting over boy and stuff, and I'm like, why?
Yeah, right. But you bring up what you just said about, like, you would do certain things. I definitely did things thinking I was either supposed to do it or that's what people expected of me. Yeah. And I might have known that, but I don't know if I did. I don't really know if I look at what I went to school for and things later on. And like, in grad school, I was probably the first time I ever really experienced depression. And I look back and I'm like, because it wasn't really what I wanted to do. But I didn't know that. I mean, I had not worked through that enough. I knew I'm supposed to do X, Y, and Z, and here's a good career path, and here's how I'll get to that.
Society expectations.
Yes. And now no one shoved this down my throat. No one said, Stephanie, you need to do this, and like, you're going to be a terrible human if you don't. But it was, it was never forced upon me. But it did bring up, like, I look back, like, no one made that happen, but I definitely looked outside of myself for the answers. And even you have taught me this. When we do cards together, it's always, Steph, look within. Oh, yeah. Still learning that one. But my point was what you said about, like, I looked outside of myself to figure out how I was supposed to move in life,
That all goes back to trust.
It does.
Like, if you feel like you need to do something, most likely it's because you do. Yeah. And it keeps popping in your brain, like, oh, I should move to so-and-so. And then you think about later on the line, I really probably should move to so-and-so. Yeah. And you don't, and just crap keeps happening. Yeah. Well, hello, they're going to make you go there eventually. Yeah. But I don't know, it's just interesting because you were talking about, like, how, like, no one told you to do it, really. Yeah. But there's always, like, that expectation that's, like, on you. Right. Like, whether it's from, like, society or your community or your family, there's, like, always that expectation. Because I think, like, if I would have listened to myself when I was choosing what degree I wanted in college, then I probably wouldn't have picked the degree, but I was listening to everybody else except myself. Right. And hence why I'm not doing that job today.
Hey, you know that? What you got out of that job?
Couple of years.
That job definitely helped you working with people. I mean, so many things. And also, it's not what you want. Yeah. If I had done, first off, I was always a good student, but I think I wouldn't have gone to school if I had not listened, and not like I didn't know where I wanted to go at all. So I wouldn't go to school with no direction. But the system that we're in is, oh, you're 18, you're an adult, you need to go to school, because what we were taught is you're not going to get anywhere unless you get your college degree. You need that.
Or like some other degree. Yeah. Other than like a real job.
Which is not true, obviously. I have thinking, like, my current partner makes more money than me with no degree.
Experience is more
You know?
valuable
Yeah.
these days than
Yeah.
degrees
I'm just
are.
saying, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. And the people who taught us these things, they did not do it out of harm. I know for sure. Well, I'm an optimist. But I know for sure my parents acted out of love and they gave me direction out of love. But they also had no idea that I was taking everything as like that's Bible, right? What people say, like
that's like they were doing the best they could with what they knew.
Exactly.
I don't think anybody was doing it out of harm or anything.
My parents definitely didn't want me depressed.
Like
Nobody wants that.
Yeah, no, like out of like they're just like, oh, you need money to live out in the world. Like money's like a big thing, and I think that's like what made my decision. I mean, the job I had was not the best paying job. I mean, I could live off that income I had, like within my means, right? But with the amount of work you had to do was
unreal.
That job profession needs pay raise.
Unreasonable.
Along with some others. But
unreasonable.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, I don't know. I think money can be like a real hanger, but I think that goes back to trusting like abundance and manifesting. What's your thoughts on manifesting and abundance?
Okay, so I love this. I've been thinking about this too. Again, my experiences going to relationships, just because since I've known you, that really has been a newer thing. I didn't date for a little while, and I was still holding on to some not healthy things. That you worked so hard to help me through.
Always get you a good friend.
Always. And
even if they don't listen.
Yeah. You say it and you at least put it out there for them. When it's time, it will hit. It will hit. So I remember about manifesting. This may not be the same, but it's the one that's been on my mind recently. So let's say I think it was 5 or 6 months ago, I was seeing someone, and so it's not the current one, but it was the one before. I don't know if you'll remember. And there are a lot of nice qualities. And I thought things were great, and I actually felt really good about it. It was like the third time I guess maybe I should go backwards real quick. Back in the fall, I was like, you know what? I'm finally feeling comfortable to say what I want in a relationship. And so I wrote things down, and I did my own little ritual and said, I want these things. I want to be able to have good conversations. I like to talk. That's not clear. I want someone I can learn with. I want blah, blah, blah. And it was 2 or 3 days later, I had this moment happen, and I met someone, right? And it was great. It was very intense and lasted very short, because I was like, oh no, that's a little too much, right? So then I go into this next phase. I'm like, okay, well, that was great. I do like these things, but I also really need these things. And that helped me realize it. So I go into this next thing, and I'm thinking this one might be somebody I actually introduced to friends and family, which I had not done since. Yeah, I had not gone through that in more than 6 or 7 years. This is a long thing. I thought, this one feels pretty good. And let's say it was 3 or 4 weeks into that, or 5 weeks into it, because we dated 2 months. I was some kind of moon ritual that came up, and I was like, well, might as well just go ahead and put this stuff out there because it's on my mind. And I was like, this is great. I want to have X, Y, and Z. Let's say I added faithfulness. I mean, that was always in the picture, but I added something. And I pull a few tarot cards after I do my little manifesting ritual. And the first card that comes up is the 3 of Swords, which I have a deck with me. Let me show it, because it'll show what it meant, and you'll I won't have to.
I'm kind of curious what that one card is, by the way. That one. Oh, it looks like you're chasing.
That's the Knight of Swords. Big ideas. So this is the card I pulled. I'm going to show you first. Okay?
Interesting.
So I'm in the middle of a very healthy thing that I'm liking. I'm like, well, I'm just going to add a few characteristics. I want to make even better love. This is the heartbreak card. I literally pulled it and was like, I threw it back in the deck and shuffled. That's okay. That's where I was at, which is not something I ever do. we break up like a week later. And I remember, but
Was
well,
it
actually,
your
and I,
doing, or was it?
well, so, and I should say this, I pulled 3 cards. I can't remember. It was a good ending. I just don't remember.
Yeah.
This is the card that will always stick out to me. It was, so like kind of present, basically the message of what I should expect from this manifestation. We did break up, or not break up. I mean, we were seeing each other. We broke up, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then something even better came in. And I think this thing is great. I don't want to, I think it's wonderful. My whole point of this all, though, is I was manifesting and I was like expecting, things to work out. And then I got a message that I didn't like. Well, like, okay, well, if you want all of these things, what you're in now is done. And it wasn't great. Like, it was a good few days. Yes, it was a good few, it was a good few days. So I know that was a very round the bush thing, but my whole point was when I have narrowed it down to figure out what I want and I'm willing to ask for it and have faith that it's going to work out, it does. Mm-hmm. It was just surprising to me. It's like you think you want certain things, then you get it and you're like, brain chat, I need these other things too. Like communication. That was the one that I really
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Love it. Absolutely. Yeah. And what's so funny is my current partner is real quick to call, and I'm like, this is so nice.
It is nice. Did it ever feel weird to you though at first? You're like, whoa.
Yeah. I'm like, oh,
be careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
But I think you realize like that's what you're worth.
Yeah. It really was. I mean,
you are worth more than you actually think you're worth.
Yes.
Which is hard to realize.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, I don't know if it's, I look at like generations, I look at, cultures where we've all grown up, what has created that in us, because so many of us don't trust in ourselves. I'm always going to stick to women in particular, but that's because I'm more familiar with those struggles. And I look at when we were growing up, there really was so much in the media about what you were supposed to be. I think about how weight issues were really advertised. Like being thin was vocalized that we should be thin, and that's just a very small example, but
food doesn't help either.
No. For real. No, but it's true. So, I go back to like looking what it is. We grew up, and I think that was my other computer.
I was like,
we grew up in a time where I don't whether people meant for this to be the case or not, we weren't taught to have trust in ourselves. We weren't taught to, if you don't have confidence, how do you have trust,
Mm-hmm. Do you think trust is like a feminine aspect?
Oh, that's a cool question. That's a really cool question. I think of truth, and I'm trying to think of how it.
Because wouldn't that be kind of like that letting go, like not logical side of masculine?
Yeah.
Like I know, like feminine can be like chaotic sometimes.
Or like faith. I mean, I don't know if faith and trust are the same, but I do think of faith as feminine, and
I think it could be intertwined.
Yeah, because
I'm no dictionary person though.
Yeah, no, well, and words are what we make them. I mean, shoot, yeah,
totally.
Yeah,
What's the Knight of Swords?
Okay, we should read it from the book. But here's my interpretation of it. It's like having creative ideas come to you and making forward progress. And the Knight is a little less about planning. I think that's kind of clear in the picture. It's more of okay, I've taken this experience. I've gotten these ideas coming to me. I'm done waiting around. I'm pushing forward. It can be ambitious, and it can also be what's the word? It goes like when you're not planning. What's the right word for that? Not chaotic, but a little bit like.
I see the word. I just can't.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
You're not planning. It's just like going with the flow.
Yeah, but a little more assertive about it, right? Like,
boop, I'm doing this. I'm going.
Right.
Like you said, direct.
Yeah.
Like you just see it and go for it.
But it's good.
What you've been saying the whole time.
And I could say, you could say that's what this is, right? Like
it is what this is.
I mean,
because that's all I had. I was like, we're gonna talk about trust, and like I'm just gonna go with that. But it also has the crow, which I like.
Yeah.
But crows for me don't really mean deaf to me for those that freak out about crows half the time. They are more like magic to me. Like magic is happening, like the universe, God, creator, source, whatever you would like to call it, working their thing. They're doing their thing. The angels, like we say we're not religious, but we do believe in angels and like Jesus Christ,
right?
God,
right?
I call him God. I don't know why so people are like so afraid to say God.
Well, I used to be. I definitely did. I used to, or like the version. God I grew up with. Was not the God I know now, and I would not put them in the same bubble, honestly.
Yeah, I think.
But now I'm comfortable with it. It was a stage where I'm like, God, like I was pretty.
Angels.
Yeah.
Angels for me were like ick.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I was just like, I don't like angels.
I'm gonna guess.
All of a sudden, they're like my best friends.
Yeah.
Probably that too. But it's weird because my mom would take me to church, right? When I was younger, but then after that, I was just like, we don't go to church.
Yeah.
I mean, I still believed in like God sometimes. I didn't because I was a teenager and hormones raging.
God, I don't miss it. Not at all.
Yeah, moody person I was. Still can be. But like, I don't know, angels. And then one day I talked to Chandler. I've been telling you guys, not expensive. We'll say that. Good price for what he does. But anyway, he channeled Archangel Michael for me. And basically, my Archangel Michael's like, yeah, you're going to work with us more. You will eventually. And I was like, oh, okay. So that was interesting to talk to him. Yeah. And then he's like, yeah, you're going to be a medium. And I was like, oh, okay. And what do you know?
Here
Down
you are.
The road, 3 years later, what am I doing? Mediumship, among other things that I didn't realize I was doing. But I don't know. I guess it's all about perspective, right?
Yeah.
And trusting what you see and hear. But I literally do know that channeling changed my life because I literally cried. Yeah. Because I was like, I'm not going crazy.
No, and also channeling, huge trust. Holy hell. Like, you think about that. I mean, that's a huge thing. So, like as a side note, my thought is anytime, if you ever do go through the moments of, we all have moments where you don't trust something. I hope you remember for yourself, like, no, I've had these experiences. That is true. I trust this, and I'm gonna trust what's come through for me.
Yeah, it was like the other day when I was doing that reading where the beings came in. Yeah. One of the beings that came in through my mediumship reading, which wasn't really a mediumship reading, it's just what that person needed at that time. And I literally told her, I was like, I'm sorry, this is not what. She was like, it's okay. I'd rather get information from higher beings than my ancestors right now anyway. And I was like, okay. But that was after. So I was like freaking out on the inside. But at one point, Jesus wanted me to channel him, and I was like, I'm not doing that. And I should have. But I was like, you can just tell me what you want and I'll speak it. But that's not really the same thing as channeling per se. I mean, there's different channelers that like go in like a deep trance and don't remember things. I'm not really that person. Like I'll remember most things. There might be little things where I'm like I don't know what I'm saying, but okay. But it is like I just see the being or whatever being would like to talk, whether that's like a seraphim, which are like, for those that don't know, that's like, I call them the right hand for God, creator, source. I feel like they're the right hand man, so they're like above the archangels and stuff in the sense of hierarchy, I guess. And then there's like the little cherubs, the little baby angels, and then you got the archangels and the angels, and then you got your guardian angels. But anyway, side note about that, going back to what we were talking about, which I don't really remember at this point.
It was channeling and trust.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just see it, and then they kind of talk through me in the sense. Sometimes my voice changes, but I'm not like a deep trance. Like
you're not out of it. Yeah.
Some people just leave their body. They let the beings come in. and talk. I let them come in, but I'm still there. Like, I still have control in a sense of, like, I'm not going to let you fully take over my body.
And you know who you're letting through.
Yeah, I feel like eventually I will get there. Like, I'll just at
With
least
practice and trust.
At least, like, the ones that I've been channeling the longest, the ones that I trust. Like, any new being I get, I trust that they're just going to give the information for the highest good, but do I trust them fully and completely? Sometimes I don't.
Right.
Because it's just that fear of, like, oh, what if? But I think fear blocks a lot of things. But fear is also good to protect you in some situations.
Yeah.
So, but again, that's all about trusting.
Yeah. Well, and what you just made me think of too, with if you're not certain about trusting, it goes back to what I was saying about trust that you've gotten through all of it, and no matter what, say it's false, say it didn't come through the way you thought, there is something that is coming out of that. So to have trust in that. Yeah,
that's true. I'm always kind of curious, like, what the angels and stuff always want to say about trust.
We should ask.
I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, I say we ask.
No, weird. Okay,
here, I can hold that.
Sorry. Yay, we're gonna talk about trust. And there was a rainbow, and we did see.
Yeah, I saw it actually on both sides. That was so cool.
Oh, I saw it on the one side.
I guess because the angle I'm facing.
Well, you can't really see it, but like on this side of the wall, there she has like a skylight, and well, you can kind of see in the picture, but
oh yeah, you can.
Yeah, there's like a skylight, like right there. And so it's like reflecting off of things, and there's a rainbow. And usually I associate rainbows with Lady Hope. And I think that's the one that wants to talk. But we shall see.
I want you to be comfortable.
Fun. I would have thought I'd be channeling right now. Okay. Oh, lo and behold, she's like right there too. That's funny. But you're like, your mantis being is right there.
We're very grateful you're here.
Let's see. I don't know if that one. Oh, so side note, I'm still here, obviously. But usually when I channel, I breathe and it just kind of pops and I see them. Like, I don't know. It's like a switch I have, I guess, that I've learned to cultivate over a few months or so, but it comes easier for others than some. So it's all about practicing and trusting.
Absolutely.
Anyway, let's see. Like, your mantis is here, and then Hope is here. But I don't know if Mantis wants to know. Because he's just right here, but he's like this, and I'm like, I don't know what that means.
He's just hanging out observing.
I don't think he wants to channel. I just think he's just drawing the symbol, actually.
Oh, wonderful.
It kind of looks like but it's like a circle. But he's like doing it with his hands. It's weird. I don't know. But he's pointing it like he's right in between us, and he's like doing this.
Okay.
Weird. So I don't know. Maybe they need something for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I've seen that symbol before, but I don't. It kind of looks like it, but with more. It's yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But he keeps talking about. It looks like So I have a symbol that I'll show you later, but it looks like usually the symbol I think of that I call it Seraphy, but it's whenever I use it, it's like a healing symbol, I guess you would say. But I usually call it like Raphael's healing, Archangel Raphael.
Okay.
Healing. But we'll see.
Very
I feel
grateful.
like that's what he's using. But anyway, okay. Back
Very
to
grateful. Thank you.
because she's waiting. She's like, okay. I feel like she's like standing by your door. But anyway. Why is that song playing in my head? It's like do 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 do.
Patience.
Trust is faith. And that's even what it says on the card, and Emily will send that to you later. She'll probably clip it in here, as you'll say. Faith is something that comes naturally. It's not something you can force. It's not something you can make happen overnight if you're not accustomed to it. It just comes. It's not something you have to think about. It just comes. If you would like more help with learning how to trust when it comes fully, just ask us for help. And when I say ask us, I mean your guides, your angels, your higher self, oversoul, God, whatever you believe in. That would help you immensely. But you have to take baby steps, just like you would take when you've been starved or dehydrated for so long. It would be wise for you to take sips or eat small amounts of food for long periods of time if you were starving or dehydrated for that long. If you were to overwhelm your body, it would reflect that back. So be careful what you ask for when it comes to manifesting as well, as one might have seen or experienced. Correct. And yes, we were there earlier with the rainbow and the orb. That was to let you all know that you are doing what you are guided to do. This was meant to happen, and trust is a very big thing that needs to be discussed. Archangel Michael would like to speak.
Thank you.
Oh, little one. And Stephanie, y'all are living out your work like you're supposed to in the time that needs to be here. Trust is, like Lady Hope has said, is something that you need to be discussing here and now. Of course, there will come a time when you come back on to discuss different things. This will be the first of many that you will attend, Stephanie and Emily. This podcast will get to those that need it, and it will just be a slow trickle, planting the seeds, just like we picked the dandelions. The dandelion is like the seeds that spread little here and there, especially when a gust of wind. Not all of them go off at the same time, but some of them do. It's just the right amount at the right time. Like Lady Hope said, too many do more harm than good. The information that is spreading is for the highest good and what is needed to be said. For everything that you all say is done in love, and there's always protection around you both, including what you are saying. No harm will come to those watching, of course, for those that are scared about channeling or anything like that. It's all done in love, and that's what this podcast is supposed to be about. All done in love, and that is all you should think about. So with that being said, we want you to have fun as Emily envisions that rubber ducky that we always give her. That is her symbol for fun. With that being said, we give you blessings and you can carry on.
Thank you.
Emily needs to eat after this. She also wants to say that she will say later. She doesn't want us to say it out loud.
That's okay.
No, it has to do with her fasting that she wants to try. That what she got the message yesterday was to prepare her body for it, and she doesn't want to. She just wants to go full force, and that's why we gave Kelly that idea to tell her, no, not all at once. Over time, she can do it.
Patience.
Of course, that's trust. She came out of nowhere. Princess just came out. She's like, because I was like, oh, I need to ground her. She's like, and I was like, okay. She like scared me. But anyway, okay. Wow, it's bright.
Thank you for that. It is bright in here. Thank you.
Says, but yeah, mantis. Oh, she has a mantis being that I introduced to her like a while ago.
Yeah.
Which was crazy. I think that was the first time like I ever channeled like fully with you.
And it was really interesting timing. I don't know if you remember this, but it was like a month or so later, I started working with kind of like a mentor.
Yeah.
I see her every 3 or 4 months, and she channeled that as well. And it was, I had never heard of that before. I mean, I'd heard of you having the experience, but not for...
Didn't you have like some experience the night of though, or something like that?
Yeah. So it was, you know, I can't remember the order of things. I just know I saw you and her very close to each other. And I remember I was already moved in here, like I was in that bed. And I remember I closed my eyes, and I, seeing things is not super common for me. And I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. It was different though. Like I could not have predicted, I could not have imagined how that looked. And then I could see them working on me.
Isn't that wild? Yeah.
And it was not long after that too. I had one on my door, and he just stopped by. Yeah,
really?
He was gone. It was because I'd never seen it. I mean, and
I
they're...
never really seen them either.
No, not around here.
I've only seen it like once.
Yeah.
And it fell from a tree on my cat, and I thought it was just like a random, but I was like, wait, is that what I think it is?
Yeah.
And I like grabbed it, and it was like the tiniest praying mantis. It was like no bigger than my ring.
I feel like you took a picture, or maybe you just told me about it.
I did.
It was teeny. That was the smallest one
hilarious.
I've ever seen.
And I literally was like, Beyonce, come look at this.
Yes.
Look at it. And literally, the odds of it falling on my cat at that time when I was like outside just chilling and meditating. I think I was like trying to meditate or something, and it like fell, and I was like,
yeah. But the odds of it falling and you noticing, right? Like all of that together to me.
Isn't it crazy that they can eat hummingbirds if they're bigger size?
No, I did not know that.
They can. So I'm like, I always wanted to come back as a hummingbird, but then I know that I was like, they don't really have any much prey, and then I'm like, oh, well, there might be a praying mantis that might bite me. Cool. So yeah.
I don't know what I want to come back as. I mean, I'm sure
I probably won't come back at it, but you know.
You know what's funny is a lot of people, I know we need to go soon, especially like time-wise. Well, I know you got to eat. Emily is a fantastic cook, and we normally make a meal, and I'm sorry that I didn't make that happen this time.
Obligations.
Obligations.
It's okay. I'm going to make pasta with avocado. I haven't had this, but lately I've been off avocados for a while, but now I've been wanting them back.
Same here, just since honestly like a week and a half ago. Yeah.
Like I ate one the other day and it was like the best avocado.
Same. I just cut it to a little salt.
I was like, oh my god.
I may even actually have one. Do you already have them at your house? I may have
one. I have one.
Yeah.
I need to eat them before there's like that split day of where like it's good, but if you wait too much longer, it's gonna go bad.
Yes.
Like that. Like it's the time to eat them now.
It's like not ready.
Yeah, I was actually gonna bring that and make that. The lentil noodles. But I have some pasta I cooked yesterday. I made my own spaghetti sauce.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I saw it off of TikTok or something, and it was like San Maranos, those. But it was like a canned one because I'm kind of lazy. I don't feel like boiling them.
We'll go lazy. It's efficient.
Well, yeah, I guess. And I did that. I put some fresh basil in there, and I put olive oil, but I let the garlic cloves soak.
Yes, I love that.
I was like, I usually like to put my garlic in there. I don't like wasting it, but I just tried it because I burnt the garlic because it told me to, and I was like, okay. And so that was like the best pasta spaghetti, like pomodoro, whatever you want to call it, sauce I've ever made. And it was just simple, and it had salt and stuff, and then I put it over the pasta that I made, and I haven't had angel hair. I feel like that's like the best pasta in the world. Like it's just the right amount of pasta, and it gets like the sauce.
Do you let it sit in the sauce?
Last night I was too impatient, so I put, because I was like starving after mediumship and everything, and so I put sharp cheddar, but like the Vermont cheese with the no dye in it, and then the coloring in it, I guess. I ate that, and that was like the best pasta I ever had. But yeah, did you know you could reuse those glass jars with the top? You just put the hot sauce in, like if you make some, you put the hot sauce in and then you close it, and then it'll suck it back into where it's like closed.
Wait, which jars?
You know the pasta jars you get with the marinara sauce, or pasta and the lid, you can screw it back on, right?
Yeah.
But if you put that with hot salt, like the hot marinara, cooked, not but
you got temperature hot.
Yeah, like you just cooked it, like you cooked some yourself, not from the jar. Not that. Like you put it in there and you close it while it's still hot. It'll suck back in eventually.
Okay.
So it'll be like
kind of preserve itself. Whatever.
Pressurized.
Yeah. I
don't know how long it would be good for, but we'll see.
You teach me so much.
I know. I just learned that the other day. Because I did it one time randomly because I made chicken broth. I made my own broth. That's awesome. I was drinking it for a little bit. Yeah, because I was making chicken a lot and we had bones, and fiance is not about the bones, but I'm like, well, they're healing. I'm like, because you can make broth from it, and I was on a kick with broth at one point, so I was like, I get it. My own broth, which I did because I was tired of buying big chunks of broth and everything. Yeah. Random tangent about food, but I can always edit. Food is healing. Yeah. Good food is healing. Yeah. Thank you for listening to the first podcast. This is Stephanie Myers. Yes. I'm Emily Ruth, and I hope you all have a blessed day. Yes.